Fine. My turn. How incredibly disappointing.
Live service games. Titles designed to evolve over time through updates, microtransactions, and seasonal content. This was once a promised utopia for the future of the gaming industry. Publishers envisioned endless revenue streams, players dreamed of ever-expanding worlds, and developers were tasked with sustaining the virtual ecosystems in perpetuity. And for a time, this model thrived. Games like Fortnite, Destiny 2, Apex Legends, they all became cultural juggernauts, generating billions in revenue and reshaping how games were consumed. Yet by 2024, the cracks in this model began to widen, and by 2025, we've seen such high-profile failures like Concord, which shut down within 2 weeks of its release, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, which killed the franchise, and Babylon's Fall, which dwindled to a single player before closure. This has absolutely blown open the live service game model and exposed humongous flaws in the live service paradigm. So today, I want to explore the absolute collapse of the live service game, from its bloated budgets to its predatory monetization, and we'll dissect why the model once hailed as revolutionary now teeters on the brink of irrelevancy. And more importantly, what this means for the future of gaming. Hey everyone, I just wanted to cut in here and say that 98% of you aren't subscribed, and I want to keep making these top 10 out of 10 videos, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you. The live service boom was fueled by one simple premise. Players would not pay just once, but repeatedly for the content released throughout the game. Fortnite epitomized this, with its content, cosmetics, and convenience all wrapped into its Battle Pass feature. In the first 2 years alone, Fortnite generated $9 billion through its battle passes and collaborations with brands like Marvel and Travis Scott. And as soon as this news broke, publishers, entranced by these figures, shifted their resources away from single-player and narrative-driven games to games as a service. By 2023, 95% of studios were developing at least one live service title, often at the expense of traditional projects. And for me personally, this was atrocious. I adore single-player, narrative-driven experiences. If I want to play multiplayer, yes, I'll hop on Call of Duty or sometimes Fortnite, but I really love party games. And so all of this came crashing down, and if I wanted to play anything multiplayer, I had to pay $20 basically a month or every, 4 months for a damn new battle pass. But to the credit of these live service games, they didn't just successfully monetize, they did cultivate communities. Destiny 2 raids became social events, Apex Legends turned streamers into influencers, Fortnite, with its creator codes, gave a sense of brand loyalty not just to the game, but to the bigger influencers playing the games. And for a time, it all seemed perfect. Developers were making steady income, players had endless content, and I remember the excitement of locking into Fortnite and being eager to unlock the new skins, especially during college. I remember watching videos that explored the map changes. I remember watching the Destiny 2 event, seeing who completed the raids first. But eventually, when every game turned to live service, the grind just felt exhausting. Every single player had FOMO on the limited time events, and it turned a leisure activity like gaming into an obligation. I mean, hell, I'd say the first and biggest live service game was GTA. I know for a fact we all bought shark cards when it first came out. It was like the original live service fantasy, driving around Los Santos. It was just an amazing feeling that I hope GTA 6 also was able to reproduce. But by the mid-2020s, the market seemingly drowned in endless live service clones. Battle royales, extraction shooters, hero-based multiplayer games, it just flooded the stores, each vying for a slice of the same audience. Forgotten games like Rumbleverse, Hyperscape, Radical Heights, and that was just an absolute shameless Fortnite intimidator. All these games collapsed within months, unable to compete with the established games already taking everyone's time. The most recent one was Concord, a $200 million project that was shuttered within 2 weeks. It's a stark reminder that brand power doesn't contribute to brand loyalty or guarantee success. And this all tumbles into the live service game demand, its relentless content pipelines. It requires teams to churn out updates, balance patches, and seasonal events indefinitely. I'll call it infinite development. It proved catastrophic for the studios, unprepared for the grind. Look at BioWare's Anthem or Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. These were single-player studios forced into the grind that is live service games. It basically shuttered the studios, I feel like. And while BioWare's still kicking with Dragon Age just released and it was a total flop, Mass Effect is their last chance to stay open. All of these studios and games basically collapsed under the mismanagement. Players don't have time to get interested in your game if there's 4 other games they have to play that's basically the exact same concept as your game. One high concept change doesn't mean the player is going to be hooked in and be willing to spend all their money on your game. And now there's just a graveyard of canceled projects, and one of my most anticipated games was Naughty Dog's Last of Us Factions, but that was absolutely thrown out the window when they discovered that it was going to cost them way much more money and much more time. They weren't going to be able to develop their amazing single-player experiences anymore. So now, something that I felt like should have been included in The Last of Us 2 has just been shelved and pushed away because now they don't have time for it. And no offense, I love Last of Us Part 2, but it's basically a 7-year-old game at this point. There's no point to include a multiplayer element for it. And this all boils down to one concept, and that is the monetization. Players have grown absolutely weary of being nickeled and dime. A single-player game like Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is an absolute outrage. $15 for narrative DLCs. Overwatch's 2 Battle Pass was absolutely criticized for locking heroes behind paywalls. Even Halo Infinite, a critical darling at launch due to its decent campaign, hemorrhaged players due to the massive grind for cosmetics. Unless you were spending money, you weren't gonna get the coolest stuff the game had to offer. And I think most of us are guilty of it. I've spent at least $100 in Valorant skins. I've spent the $20 on the Travis Scott skin when that event was going on. But the thrill of customization fades fast, because I remember the days of Halo Reach and Black Ops 1, COD points, and whatever those Halo points were called. If you just played the game, you earned enough experience to purchase the cosmetics for absolutely free. Your $60 got you all the content in the game. And there's currently one studio that I feel like does this very right, and I recently made a video on them. That's Helldivers 2. They succeeded because their battle passes are in perpetuity, and they're not that expensive. You can earn the credits in-game, and yes, it might take a little longer, but you can unlock all the content for free, and you're not obligated to buy anything. It's proof that players will pay if you respect their time and their wallets. But ironically, the live service game declining has coincided with the resurgence of premium single-player games. Baldur's Gate 3, Hogwarts Legacy, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, all of these games have sold millions of copies without microtransactions, challenging the notion that recurring revenue is essential for game development. And let's jump to indie games. Palworld has outsold AAA titans by offering a complete experience. No seasons, no passes, just fun. Just recently, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has come out, and it sold over 2 million copies in just under 2 weeks. And we can go even smaller than that. The indie darling Mouthwashing has just passed over 500k copies, which is gargantuan for an indie-based, narrative-driven game. But if you look over at the AAA world, we're seeing studios like the League of Legends studios taking away free chests and dropping $500 skins. It's insane what these companies are thinking. And I watched the video. These poor devs, you could tell they don't want to say this, but they're being forced to do it because if they don't, they're going to lose their jobs. And there's a human cost to all of this. The live service collapse is an industry-wide crisis. In 2024 alone, from what I calculated, over 14,000 developers lost their job. This is a 40% increase from 2023. Studios like Epic Games and Bungie downsized tremendously. These cuts affect live service games because when those teams shrink, you can't create content for them anymore. And in my opinion, the live service game has absolutely stifled innovation. And if every single developer out there is being forced to prioritize monetization over artistry, we're just going to get the same game over and over and over and over again. As the head of Larian Studios said, games should be made because they haven't been created before, not to increase market share. Games like Mouthwashing and Baldur's Gate 3 prove that passion projects can thrive, but when executives treat games like spreadsheets, it loses the absolute soul of the medium. What I think we need to see a return of is the hybrid model. Maybe instead of battle passes, it's just season passes like the old Call of Duty games. You're getting your full-fledged experience when you purchase the game, but map packs can come out, and it's not barring you from content, but maybe a few maps. Or, as much as gamers hate this, we can see a more early access approach to AAA games. Baldur's Gate 3 did this, Hades 1 and 2 have done this, and you know the games, what they're going to be while you play them, and you get to see them develop over time. And if you sell them at a cheaper price point, I think it's worth it. You get to foster a community, and you get to educate gamers on what happens in game development, all the radical changes that take place. Or we could just do a very simple thing and return to single-player roots, separate the multiplayer games from the single-player games. I honestly believe that the pendulum needs to swing back towards a more separated approach. And the answer to expensive single-player games isn't live service, it's about making them less expensive. Offer remote work to game developers so they can work anywhere in the world. They don't have to live in cities where the price is skyrocketing every year. Instead of focusing on graphical improvements, let devs reuse certain assets. Developers are already struggling due to the greed of executives. So I just feel like if you give them a better work-life balance, we're going to get better games. And the executives will see this reflected in the numbers when gamers come out and purchase those products. So the fall of live service games isn't an endpoint, but it's a reckoning. Publishers gambled on the infinite growth and lost. Players rejected exploited systems, and developers paid the price. Yet within all this controversy, there lies an opportunity, a chance to recenter games as art, not as an algorithm. Live service games can exist, but with live service studios whose only purpose is to update and make the game great. It should not define the entire gaming marketplace. We need to embrace that different developers want to create different things. The future truly belongs to studios that balance profit and passion, treating players as partners, not piggy banks. I just hope the industry listens. So thanks everyone for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed your meal.